I was watching this, it was a video or a documentary, I think it was on CNBC, but it was about school lunches. And it just reminded me of all these stories. I went to public school for many years in America, and I ate the school lunches. Man, lots of memories. So let's tell these stories. And for those of you watching, if you guys wanted to share your stories in the comments, I would love to hear your school lunch stories. First of all, I don't think it's any kind of surprise that the lunches sucked, as in the lunches tasted bad, and it seemed like the cheapest stuff they could throw at kids, they would throw it at us. One of the biggest memories was the pizzas. Normal pizzas you get at, let's say, Domino's or any other place. It has a crust, right? There's the tomato sauce and the cheese and everything, but there's thickness in the stuff below, the dough. But the pizzas, the school lunch pizzas, I remember the cheese would just like slide off. The whole entire cheese was somehow stuck together on top of the dough, and it would just slide off. You're like, what kind of cheese is it made out of? What are they feeding us? The dough itself was so thin. When the layer of cheese slid off, it felt like a very, very, maybe 1 or 2 centimeters. That's how thick the dough was. And besides that, the soups tasted bad. The soups are so greasy. If you want to encourage kids to eat a healthy lunch, it was never healthy. And nothing tasted good either. And then one of my biggest memories was drinking milk. The school milks usually tasted horrible. And the worst part is, sometimes the milk would be expired by the time we kids grabbed a hold of it. So we'd be drinking expired milk. One time, okay, this was the craziest. I saw them physically, they crossed out the real expiration date and moved the date a little back. Sketchily, they changed the expiration date. I stopped drinking milk after a while, mainly because I was lactose intolerant, but also I didn't trust the school milks. My state had a bunch of free lunch programs for kids. I think when their family didn't make enough money. So these kids would get a 5-piece meal. So you'd get a drink, a milk or something, you'd get a fruit, you'd get a main course, you'd get a snack, and then probably a veggie or something. None of these kids that got the free lunch ever ate their lunches because it was free. There was no consequence if they threw it away. So I remember one of my good friends, by the way, he was a good friend of mine for many years. I'd always call him out. He'd just have his lunch and then he'd throw it away. And I'd be like, dude, why don't you eat it? He's like, oh, I eat at home. Then I asked him, I said, well, if you eat at home, why do you get the lunch here? He's like, well, it's free. So this happened across the board. A lot of people, some of them, what they would do is they only wanted the pretzel or they only wanted the fries. They couldn't get the fries or the pretzel by themselves because then they'd have to pay a la carte, as in they'd have to pay the single price for the pretzel or the fries. So they'd be forced to get a full lunch. The moment they walk out of the line after they get their lunch, they'll toss the fruit, the milk, the everything into the trash and just eat the fries or just eat the pretzels. Such a waste of food. And yes, the food wasn't high quality, probably did more damage to the kids' bodies, but still, first thing is you don't just throw away stuff. There's other people that could use it. Environmental sustainability, whatever you call it. And second thing is spending other people's money, right? This concept that you get the free lunch, you're spending other taxpayers' money, so you don't spend it responsibly. So that's another thing that always got to me. I mean, I was little at the time, so I couldn't phrase it, but now I can understand why I cringe seeing all these people getting free lunches, just toss it. And in the comments in the documentary I was watching, all these YouTubers would talk about, oh yeah, dude, so much stuff was getting thrown away because people just wanted a certain thing and then they had to get the full option, so they just threw away all the rest. I had this friend in high school. He knew the lunches sucked. He hated the school lunches. So he'd steal. He never paid one meal. He would just get all his food, and then when the lunch lady was distracted, he'd just walk out. So for all 4 years of his life, he just ate the school lunches for free. He wasn't one of those that got free school lunches, but he didn't like the food. He didn't want to pay for it, so he'd stack his tray full of stuff and just leave. I don't know how he did it, man. It's all about your attitude, right? If you act like, yeah, I paid for it, I don't care, then you just walk out. But if you even show a hint of suspicion, then they're probably going to stop you, make you pay. Kind of admire the guy, but also it's like, oh, you. And the funny thing, in elementary school and middle school, in high school, the school lunches got a little better, but in elementary school and middle school, once a year, the school lunch would be good, and that was the Thanksgiving meal. The Thanksgiving meal had turkey, they had gravy, it had everything, and that was the only time the school lunches were good. So for those of you watching, leave a comment, let me know what percentage of the time were school lunches good if you ate school lunches. If you didn't eat school lunches, did you pack your own lunch? Did you eat out? What did you do? Let me know in the comments. Talk to you guys soon.